Nathan getting started, 19 years old, kind of first, stepping into this industry. Any audiobooks you recommend? Do you guys charge extra if there's excessive pet waste?
Yeah, biggest thing too, once you guys get rolling, you want to time yourselves on all the properties.
Is there a big difference that you see on just measuring the turf area versus the lot size?
Use EDDM to initially get our name out there. And then as our trucks get out there and our brand gets out there and our little yard signs when we do treatments, that's what gets us the route density. When we break into new markets, that's when we use EDDM or new neighborhoods that are getting built.
So yeah, so 30-inch mowers versus 21-inch mowers is my first question. And what's your insight on that?
All right, so we have Alberto and we have Nathan. You guys are just, to my understanding, you guys are just starting your, or haven't even started yet. You guys are just getting your, looking at starting a lawn care business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I've been looking at this for years. I work in the oil field. I'm actually here now. I work in West Texas. So pardon if you hear any forklifts or anything in the background. But yeah, so I've been I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I mean, I'm always trying to figure out a way to turn a dollar into $10. So I've thought about doing lawn care, but I've got a successful career in the oil field. Pays very well, so it was always hard for me to get out of this business and this career to start lawn care. But I've always been passionate about it. I've written business manuals for myself, and I mean, I've got all kinds of business ideas that I've gotten written down, and so lawn care was always one that I've always been passionate about. I follow everybody on YouTube and watched them for years. So yeah, my son just graduated high school, Nathan, last year, and kind of at that point where he's going to college, going to start a career, and I talked him into let's just do a lawn care business together. Uh, during the pandemic, I was laid off from the oil field without any work. So I actually started a pressure washing and window cleaning business, and it was very successful. We were booked out 2 to 3 weeks out, 2 to 3 jobs a day. So it was doing very well until the oil field opened back up after the pandemic, and I came back to the oil field. I know the potential in our area as far as clients and picking up customers and all that. So I kind of got a little bit of experience on that side of it. But lawn care is something new that we're going to be stepping into.
Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are taking the leap and doing it. Most people, they talk about it or they get analysis by paralysis, but you guys are actually doing it. So that's super, super exciting. So what can I help you guys out with? Like, I guess what questions do you have of getting started and how can I help?
Sure. So I've been following you since you first started. I remember your first video popped up, and it was like a few days old when you're like showing your truck and then the bed, the ramp that you put on there. So I've been following you since day one, and over the years I've seen your success growing and growing and growing, and our market is very similar to yours. Cookie cutter neighborhoods. Just in my subdivision alone, there's 4,006 homes just in my subdivision, and there's 50 of those subdivisions all around us. I mean, there's probably 40 to 60,000 homes within, a 1 to 3 mile radius from us. So the potential is huge. And so starting in area, so I've really followed your model in the sense that we want to focus on small lawns. Our gates are about 36 inches. You can't fit a 36-inch mower. The biggest you can fit is a 32-inch. So your model is something I've always kind of looked at and wanted to duplicate in our market. So that's why I was really hoping to, and watching all your videos and very informative. And so one of the things I wanted to do before I dove in and started making the purchases and all that, I just wanted to get your insight on some of the things before, maybe if I could eliminate some of the mistakes that you made early on or that you talking with other businesses. For example, I know you run 21-inch mowers versus 30-inch mowers. I know you've tried at some point. Could you? I'm at that point right now where I'm deciding whether I want to do a 30-inch or 21s. Nathan is going to be my boots on the ground. I'm in the background coaching him. So I don't want Nathan, like you said, I don't want him to start with the 21-inch mowers and like, man, screw this. This is hard work. Dad, I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? I want to give him all the proper tools right out of the gate to make sure, you know, we're successful. And he sticks with me for the long haul to see the big picture and see this all play out the way I envision it. So yeah, so 30-inch mowers versus 21-inch mowers is my first question. And what's your insight on that?
So I would definitely do market research. So you said you have 4,000 homes in your neighborhood. I would literally, and we're really focused on the lawns that are inside of the streets, not the ones that are on the corners. Those are obviously going to be bigger. But I'm talking
Mhm.
about 95% of your lawns are going to be in the middle of the street. So go on a few of those streets, map it out, and we just want to know turf square feet, not the house. Take the house out, take the driveway out, just the
Mhm.
grass areas that you're actually going to be cutting. So our lawns are typically, a lot of them are anywhere from like 1,000 turf square feet to like 3,500 turf square feet. Now we go all the way up until 8,000 turf square feet,
Mhm.
but I will tell you 85% of our lawns are between 1,000 and 3,000. That's our sweet spot. So what you want to find is the neighborhoods in your area with your subdivision. What is the sweet spot? If you're around that 1,000 to 3,500, maybe even 4,000 turf, you're probably looking at a 21-inch mower will serve you just well. The 30-inch mower is great. Like it would be nice to have it on those 8,000-foot lots, but we only have like a handful of those. So the other thing, the 30-inch is very, very heavy. So when you get down and you're turning and it's hot and you're in Texas, man, that thing after days worth of work of turning that thing, it's heavy. And so the 21-inch mowers, we use commercial Toro. It's just, man, you could flip that thing around with one hand, honestly. And sure, it might be a little bit more walk-in, but um, yeah, our guys just like that better. It's still
Yeah,
heavy
what
because it's got a commercial deck on it, but it's not that 30 inch, man. That'll give you a shoulder workout.
Gotcha. So those lots that you're talking about in our neighborhood, I've done the research. On average, we're anywhere from 3,000 to about 40, say 4,800 on average. I would say 85% of them are right around 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at a 21-inch mower, honestly.
Okay.
You'll
Which
do
I do.
just fine.
I have one. I've got a 21-inch Exmark commercial that I bought from a guy in Dallas several years ago. Uh, it's just used as our residential mower. It's probably about 6 years old, but I mean, it's a workhorse, man. It still does. It starts up every time. So maybe I'll start with that then. Like I said, my initial goal or my thoughts were to start off with a 30-inch. But like you said, I didn't want to, like you said, him turning it and there's like, man, Dad, this is too heavy. Now I've got a $3,000 paperweight. That he prefers to use a 21-inch versus a 30.
Yeah, especially if you already have it, like there's no sense. Like if you already have that piece of equipment, let them at least try that one. Now, if you want to try it down the road, once you get a little bit of money and you're like, hey, maybe let's try the 30 inch, by all means, maybe do that. But if you already got it in stock, I would be willing to bet that you guys will find better, like you guys will like the 21-inch mowers better.
Mhm.
They're more durable too. So a lot when you start to hire employees and stuff that kind of beat them up, uh they're just more durable. Like they're less amount of like the 30 inches, the cables break on them a lot easier. It's got two blades, so now you have more components on the
Mhm.
thing.
Makes sense.
There's just something about the 21-inch mowers, man. They're kind of like tanks and you can run over stuff and it's not going to damage them.
Gotcha. Perfect. Perfect. My next question was trucks. I'm planning on running trucks just like you've got the F-150s. As a matter of fact, when I was doing a search on the Facebook Marketplace, I came across one of your trucks that you're selling. So I drive through Dallas a lot, and there's different areas from West Texas to Houston, and so always kind of broaden up my search from Houston, 250 miles or so, and actually your truck came up. But yeah, so I'm looking for that. Is there anything you look been purchasing a used truck, but we're at the process right now of that. That's our next purchase to get a truck. Are you looking for under 150,000 miles, 120,000 miles, over a certain year? What's your experience there been?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think it really depends on like what you're comfortable with doing. So for me, I built a company that's debt free. I wanted to go to sleep at the end of the day, put my head on the pillow and not have to worry about, loans and truck payments and all this other stuff. So I buy everything cash except pieces of equipment. Now that we have a little bit of money, we do buy new like handheld equipment because that stuff needs to run. But as far as trucks, we always buy used. So I go typically 4 to 5 years old, and basically I don't want anything above 150,000 miles. That's about like the oldest or the most used that we would go is 150. In fact, we just bought one for 149,000 F-150. It was a 2014. So the year that's about the oldest I would go is like maybe 8 years old. And anything under 150,000 miles, 8 years old, that's about the max I would do. So as long as it's under 8 years old, as long as it's under 150,000 miles, you're good to go. Now, what I'll also recommend telling you too is get the 8 foot bed. Don't
Okay.
like try to cheap out and get like that six, I think 6 and 3/4 foot bed, whatever the other ones are. You're
Right.
gonna need it when you start trimming bushes and branches, and you just need storage back there. The 8 foot bed is the way to go for sure.
That makes sense. And V6 versus V8.
It doesn't matter to me at all. Like,
Okay.
you're not going to be pulling around tons and tons of weight. Now, again, it depends on what you're going to do. If you're going into hardscaping or you're doing all these paver patios and having complex stuff, you may want to look at a bigger truck. We just buy Ford F-150s, 5 to 7 years old, 130, 40,000 miles on it. And we don't carry much heavy weight. We do mowing, light landscaping with like mulch and stuff, and then fertilization and weed control. That's really it.
Yeah, that's our goal right there as well. Yeah. Perfect. And when as far as brand the edgers and weed eaters and stuff like that, trimmers, do you have a brand loyalty, or what's your experience been with that?
So we use steel, but I will tell you, like, so we've been really happy with steel. It's durable, especially when you have employees that kind of beat them up and throw them around and stuff. I would tell you what matters more is the dealer and how quickly they can get you in and out. So like for example, our Toro dealer is like and steel dealer, I guess, is like 40 minutes from us. And it's kind of a pain because every time something breaks, I got to drive all the way over there and it costs money. I would rather have if there was a Red Max or Echo. I think
Echo.
Echo. No,
Okay.
that's
No,
orange.
no. Echo's orange. Orange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there was an Echo dealer on my corner, I would switch to Echo. If there was a Steel
Okay.
dealer on my corner, I would stay with Steel, right? So like
Okay.
what is more important is the location of your dealer because you're going to be going to them like almost every other week or every month when you start to grow in scale where you have multiple pieces of equipment that you're constantly picking up, dropping off, that needs to get worked on, needs to get tweaked. And so like
Yeah.
and you just want to make sure that they can like turn it around really quick. But we've been happy
Yeah.
with steel.
Okay. I've got a steel combi system, but as far as for edging, that I think that'll be too heavy for daily trimming for him. So I think I was looking at getting an Echo. And I live in Houston area. I'm just outside of Houston, so I've got the luxury of a ton of dealers, within probably 30-minute drive for me. So okay, perfect. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with Echo, starting out with the trimmer and see. We got Echo and Steel. Maybe we can run them both and see what we like there. Our initial plan is door hangers. I've watched a bunch of your videos on that.
That's
You
that.
know, yeah, we've our plan is to start out, you know, guerrilla marketing with our door hangers and maybe even some yard signs at the entrance of our neighborhoods. They get taken down pretty quick, but our initial goal was door hangers in our area. Um, I don't think there's going to be enough in the budget for EDDM starting out, but our goal is to pick up maybe 30 to 50 customers our first season, since Nathan will be doing solo this season. So what's your return rate on door hangers, percentage wise, roughly in our areas?
If they're done at the right time, 1 to 3% will convert.
Okay.
As long as
And the
like your
right time.
pricing's competitive and the right time and everything. I will tell you if you want to run it very, very conservatively, just do a 0.5%.
Okay. And the right time being for our here in Texas, for our seasons, what would you say, mid-February to early March?
So
Just to
we're
get started
sending,
on that.
yeah, we're sending our EDDM flyers out beginning February 19th, and they're going to go out for the next 7 weeks after
Seven
that.
weeks straight. Okay, so you send them once a week. Are you hitting the same subdivisions multiple times with those
No,
EDDMs?
so we are doing all the new build areas, so new
Okay.
customers. We do not like try to saturate though. I mean, we do try to saturate the market with our marketing and our, you know, try to gain market share and stuff. But we don't continually hit the same neighborhoods over and over again. We use EDDM to initially get our name out there, and then as our trucks get out there and our brand gets out there and our little yard signs when we do treatments, that's what gets us the route density. When we break into new markets, that's when we use EDDM or new neighborhoods that are getting built.
Perfect, perfect. And EDDM, what kind of return rate are you getting on that?
Same thing, about
Same.
one to
Okay,
1 to 3%. Average. If you want to run it conservatively, just go 0.5%.
perfect. Okay. Um, Now, one thing that I was looking at when doing estimates, I know you get your app that you use, you measure
Software, yeah.
yes, you're using, or you're measuring the turf area. Is there any advantage or disadvantage for measuring just the turf area for lawn mowing as opposed to just doing the lot size for simplicity? So, like going as, pulling up the address on Zillow and just looking at the lot size. Is there a big difference that you see on just measuring the turf area versus the lot size?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it will vary. So if it's a 1 story ranch home, it's going to be a lot longer, right? If it's a single story. If it is a 2 story, it's typically going to be a lot less, more like square like because they have that second level. What you also have to factor in is if they have a pool, that could take a lot of time away from the lawn. If they have, like, there was a guy at one time that had literally, I'm talking like 3,000, like 2,000 turf square foot backyard. He had like 35 little bushes that were like knee high
Wow.
that you had to
Yeah.
weed eat around every single one of them, right? So there's variables that definitely play into part into that point. So I would strongly recommend going off of turf square feet and not just gross.
When you're doing turf, and you do have a swimming pool, for example, are you going around the pool to measure actual turf as well?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I was looking at the pricing matrix or so that I'm putting together. It does have uh, A, B, and C, so to say, for difficulty levels for up structures. Different structures, trampolines, pools, like you said, landscaping, and children's playgrounds in the backyard. So I do plan on doing that for pricing. So hopefully that'll help out with that.
Yeah, biggest thing too, once you guys get rolling, you want to time yourselves on all the properties, whether it's with
Absolutely,
physical
yeah.
stopwatch or through your CRM. So we use
Yeah.
Copilot, we used to use
Yeah.
Service Autopilot. But once you get to the end of the season, like next year in December, what you want to do is sit down and be like, okay, what turf square footage was that property, and what was the average time over the years,
Mhm,
over the year, right? Spring, fall, and summer are going to have different times. In the summer, it's going to
mhm.
take longer because it's hot. Spring and fall, you guys are going to be quicker. It's just cooler out and guys are moving quicker, but you want that average. So you're going to take, one in spring, one in summer, one in fall, add them up, divide it by 3. Okay, that was a 30-minute lawn for 5,000 turf square feet. So now you can know how long each job is going to take and how many they can do in a day, in an 8-hour day, and start to kind of do the math and figure out what they need to make.
Right. And I've talked to Nathan about that, is making sure we're hitting our man hours. And, obviously initially we may be a couple dollars cheaper than our competitors just to build that schedule. And then, like you said, the following year, start seeing who's the ones, or who are we hitting our man hour target and who we're not, raise the prices. If they don't like it, drop them, pick up customers with a higher man hour rate, and see, fill up spots that way. The schedule, as far as a mowing schedule, do you have a mowing schedule that you do for your customers? For example, I was planning on doing like November through uh, February, doing biweekly, and then starting in March 1st, do weekly from March 1st to October 31st. So that was my plan initially. What's your experience with that, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, so you can do that. I don't know if customers are going to allow the biweekly through December, January, and February just because the grass doesn't grow that much.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they overseed it with ryegrass or something. But down here, like all of the Bermuda grass is dormant. So what we do for those months is we do winter services where we come out and instead of mowing for those 30 minutes to mow, we just shift over to like trim your bushes, pull weeds, pick up leaves, stuff like
Right.
that. So like that's how we kind of sell it. So we still take or keep on that recurring revenue. We do biweekly in the spring and the fall. So basically all of March we're biweekly, and then October 15th to November 15th we're biweekly. But basically once April 1st hits, April 1st all the way to October, mid-October, we're weekly. So we just tell the customers, hey, like, because all of our lawns we're fertilizing and stuff, like they have to be weekly. Otherwise, they'd be growing like wildfire and it'd take us twice as long, you know.
Right. Yeah, and we're in Saint. We have 90% St. Augustine where I'm at. So, uh, and yeah, I think that's about how it's worked for us when I've switched my lawn guy. I've got a lawn guy that I pay right now. So our lawn guy, we pretty much switch him when it comes to the end of October, and also because our yard's getting full of October, Halloween decorations, Christmas decorations. So there's really not much mowing that can get done. But like you said, they're switching over to winter services for us, and still coming out every 2 weeks for that. Just me mainly to keep him busy. Like, hey, instead of can dropping him during those months, hey, let's just switch over to bi-weekly. But I did that as opposed to my lawn guy doing that for us. My wife and I have talked about this in the past. Of us different businesses are starting different idea, but how do you guys handle uh, pet waste? Pet waste removal. Do you guys charge extra if there's excessive pet waste? Do you have do you ever thought about, or would you ever add on pet waste removal as an additional service, or what's your thoughts on that?
We don't offer pet waste removal. I know there's companies out there that do. I think it's a great business. It's very low overhead. All you need is a truck and a scooper
Hmm.
versus like paying for the mowing equipment, the trimming, and all that stuff. It's not that hard to teach somebody how to scoop up some poop, right? Um, I don't know. Like for me personally, it would be hard for me to stand in front of a group of people and be like, we're gonna go scoop poop. You know what I mean? It's just hard for me to rally around that. Um, it's a good business though. I mean, you could definitely
Yeah.
do it. My good friend EJ McCoy owns Scoop Soldiers, and
Oh, nice, nice. Okay.
I mean, I was just with him last week, and he's franchising the company. He's doing a lot of big
Oh
things
yeah,
with it.
yeah. I've
So
watched him. Yeah.
yeah, he's awesome. The way that we handle poop is basically when we go out there, we tell our team if obviously if somebody has a dog or two, there's going to be piles in the lawn. It's just part of our job. You're going to step in it, right? That's number one. Number two, if it comes to the point where there's more than 15 piles, we give our team I think it's either 15 or 20 piles in the lawn. That gives them a little bit of grace. Obviously, they're not going to pick up every piece of poop right after the dog poops, but after a week, there might be some piles in there, but 15 to 20. If it's more than that, if it's more than 20, then they will tag a note on the job and say dog poop. And then our office will email the customer and give them one warning. If they get
Mhm.
another tag within that month, we apply a $25 fee.
Yeah, we've considered, my wife's big, man, we should do poop scooping, and when during that time during the pandemic when I was doing my services, I was doing window cleaning, pressure washing, and all that. I did dabble a little bit with the poop scooping, and we just got so busy with doing everything else that I kind of let it go. I just had a couple customers, just to try it out, and it was easy money, except but the money, you'd have to get a ton of customers to really start seeing a difference. And my money was making, house washing and roof washing and pressure washing and all that. So CRM, you did mention, I've watched some of your videos that you've switched from Service Autopilot to Copilot. I have downloaded Copilot myself and just kind of playing with it and see how it'll work. Um, do you recommend starting out with Copilot initially, 0 to 100,000 initially, for the first year? I know they have a free version that we're kind of playing with right now. Do you recommend that, or yard books to start off with, or what do you suggest?
Have you used a CRM before?
I played some with yard books when I had my other business, when I was doing the pressure washing, window cleaning, just to kind of keep track of customers. We do Christmas lights during that pandemic. I also picked up a ton of Christmas light customers, which we still do, and I use that just to mainly keep track of my customers'
Mhm.
information. But I
Yeah.
didn't use it to its full potential though.
Yeah, I think Copilot would be good for you then. There are some kinks in it right now as far as like usability. It's a brand new software. There's some bugs for sure, right? But I think like coming from Yardbook, I think it'll be an upgrade because you basically tech can tap into automations. So you can start to have the system start to do a lot of like the office stuff and like sending an email, or like when somebody's on the schedule, you can have it just send them a text or an email, like without you having to do it. And yeah, it forces people before they accept an estimate to add a card on file. A lot of those other softwares don't have that. So there's a couple really good features in there that I would strongly recommend that. Plus, the other thing is if you do want to grow above 100,000, you don't have to like take all your customers out of that database like Yardbook or something and then put it in, plug it into a Copilot or a Service Autopilot where like now you want to scale to like 500,000, once it starts to pick
Right.
up. You're just on one CRM and it can grow with you.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's what we'll end up doing. You did mention as far as the credit card on file, that was our goal is to that's how I pay my guy, my long guy. I pay him at the beginning of the month for the rest of the month. The first hits, I'm paying him for the next, month's service. Does is that how you guys handle that through Copilot, or are you guys charging every service, every visit?
Yeah, we're a la carte. So we basically come out, we service, and they get billed the next day.
Okay. Is there any disadvantages to doing that once a month, or is there a reason why you know you prefer to do that way?
The way that your guy is doing it sounds almost a little better because he's getting the money up front for the month and then he can go deploy it and multiply it. There's some people that do that, but they do it at the end of the month. And the problem with that is they're going to go out and cut for 4 weeks, but then when they try to bill them on the 30th, it's not going to go through. And then a week's going to go by, and then another week's, and then all of a sudden they're 6 weeks behind. And yet they've been cutting this dude's lawn and for
Right.
6 weeks, and they need to make payroll. So the way that that guy's doing it is good. He's making you as the customer like kind of prepay for the month,
Yeah.
which makes sense. I don't think there's in that sense great opportunity if you can do that. We just do, pay as you go. There's no contracts
Gotcha.
with us. You can cancel anytime. And we want our quality and work to retain our customers, not necessarily a contract. I don't know if he's got you in a contract, but that's just how we've done it. And then if a card doesn't go through, we just pause them immediately, so they're not going
Mm.
to get another service next week. And that's just kind of how we set it up. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I'm actually the one that pays him once a month. He didn't, I'm sure he takes weekly with a lot of customers, but that's just the way I preferred paying him. And I guess maybe it was just my mindset that that's my lawn care business. That's how I wanted to run it. So, and then he's been happy with it. So, and I think, just processing once a month versus weekly. I don't know as far as, using, Stripe, you know, credit card charges weekly versus paying one credit card fee versus every week.
yeah, you'll
Uh,
you'll you'll definitely save money because it's 30 cents per transaction. So if we're
right.
cutting it 4 times a month, like that's 30, what is that? 3 times 4,
Dollar.
a dollar 20
Yeah.
per customer. When you have 300 customers, that adds up
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my
versus
mindset on
doing it
say
once a month.
we'll see how the customers, again, how we'll test it out and see how that works. Um, I know we're kind of getting up on time here. Audiobooks. I'm big on audiobooks. I know you've talked a lot about audiobooks. Uh, what are the audiobooks do you recommend? Nathan, I'm trying to get Nathan into getting his head in the game and listen to audiobooks and really getting motivated into it. Nathan getting started, 19 years old, kind of first, stepping into this industry. Any audiobooks you recommend to start with?
There's so many good ones out there. Yeah, it really depends on like I constantly am listening to audiobooks and
Yeah.
just gaining more knowledge. It really depends on the season of like where he's at. So obviously like he's just getting started. I'm trying to think if there's any like right out of the gate as far as like I don't because like he's gonna be basically kind of working for you, right? Or is he like an
Yeah, I mean,
owner as well?
owner, yeah, owner. I mean, I'm happy with what I'm doing in the oil field. I want Nathan to make money, get motivated, and I want to help him build this business. I want to make him, lots of money and be an entrepreneur. So I think majority of it's going to go to Nathan. I'm just on the background coaching him. Maybe I'll get, a little percentage of it here and there, as the
Yeah.
business grows. But a majority will be for Nathan, and I want to build him and coach him through this whole process and just because of my mindset and entrepreneurship that I've studied so much over time, so that's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. So in the beginning, so profit first is a good one. It really just talks about like to take home profit first before you start to pay expenses, try to grow the business. Most people don't do that. They'll grow their business like and just put every dollar back into the business. And then 3 years from now, they're going to wake up pulling their hair out, run around like a chicken with their head cut off and be like, why the heck am I doing this? What do I have to show for this last 3 years of me like losing sleep and being all this stressed out, like dealing with employees. And you could go back and look and be like, well, I made profit first. And that's the whole mindset. It helps you like set up your bank accounts properly and just get the foundation right before you start to scale. That's a good book. If he's doing a lot of the sales, like talking to customers, which he'll probably be out there on the front lines mowing, and then a customer comes out, or if he's doing estimates, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone is
Yeah,
a great
I
book.
like that. I listened to that one now.
10X by Grant Cardone is another good book. A lot of people kind of underestimate like the volume that they can do. And it's really about like you guys are talking about doing flyers, right? Whatever number you have in your mind, whether that be 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000, 10X it.
Hmm.
10X it and be like, how do we do 100,000? Like, how do we
Yeah,
physically really do this? And like, it'll start to expand the brain and like really try to think outside the box. And then even if you guys don't do that and you end up doing 30,000, well, it was way better than the 10,000 you guys were even thinking of in the beginning, right?
I like
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that was a good book. Yeah, those are probably a few I think off the
Perfect.
top of my head.
Yeah, I've got a list of mine, and I just need to share my list with him and see. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain and see what some of the ones that kind of stood out for you. One last question I had, your truck bed. I know you've got the new dovetail version of your truck bed insert. You've got a local guy. I remember commenting on one of your videos a while back, and you told me I've dug and dug and dug through all the videos and comments to try to see which one it was for your guy. I don't live too far from you. I mean, I live in Houston. How far are you from Houston?
I think like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, see, I'm willing to drive to your guy to get a dovetail, set up. What's your law? Your who's your welder guy that you use? You said J&N, J&D, or J&M or
So it's a J&M Construction up in Pilot Point.
Pilot Point. Okay, man, I
Yeah.
couldn't find him. I looked everywhere for this guy. I couldn't find J&M Construction. Okay,